30 minutes. Israel says 175 targets hit in Lebanon, Gaza in response to rocket attacks on its northern region. Early voting begins in 26 of 50 US states. Both presidential candidates trade barbs over issues of economy and democracy. And India loses first of 3 test match series against New Zealand in Bengaluru. Kiwis take 1-0 lead. The Israeli Air Force has attacked Hezbollah's intelligence headquarters and an underground weapons workshop in Lebanon's capital, Beirut. According to Lebanese media, Israel struck dozens of South Lebanon villages and towns overnight. Earlier, the Israeli military issued an evacuation warning for civilians living near Beirut buildings it said were affiliated with Hezbollah. The strikes come a day after drone attack on Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's home. Netanyahu accused Hezbollah of trying to assassinate him. Israel Defense Forces released a newly declassified video that shows late Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar and his family walking through a tunnel in an unknown location hours before the October 7 attack. Sinwar, the mastermind of Hamas's October 7, 2023 attack on Israel, was killed on Wednesday in a gunfight with Israeli forces. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer showed support for his Israeli counterpart Benjamin Netanyahu after the deadly drone attack on the Israeli Prime Minister. Both the leaders engaged in an afternoon telephonic conversation on Saturday where Starmer said that he was alarmed to hear about the drone launched towards Netanyahu's residence. The two leaders further discussed the situation in the West Asia following the death of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar. Stressing on the importance of getting much more aid into Gaza, the leaders also noted about the opportunity presented by Sinwar's death to halt the fighting and get the hostages out. Meanwhile, US Vice President Kamala Harris on Saturday reiterated her call for a ceasefire in West Asia conflict. She added that it was important to seize the opportunity provided by killing of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar.
Fast forwarding to today with the killing of Sinwar, this creates an opening that I believe we must take full advantage of to dedicate ourselves to ending this war and bringing the hostages home. As it relates to the issues in the Middle East and in particular in that region, it has never been easy. But that doesn't mean we give up, okay? It is always going to be difficult. It does not mean we give up. We can't give up.
U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin reiterated U.S.'s stand for Israel to scale back some of its strikes in and around the Lebanese capital. He urged Israel to opt for negotiations.
I say the same thing that I said about Gaza and continue to say. The numbers of civilian casualties have been far too high. We'd like to see Israel scale back on some of the strikes that it's taking, especially in and around Beirut. And we'd like to see things transition to some sort of negotiation that would allow civilians on both sides of the border to return to their homes. And that's the point that I'll continue to make with Minister Gallant. And I think, yes, he does take on my input.
Meanwhile, the European Union's foreign policy chief, Josep Borrell, at the G7 summit suggested that the killing of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar by Israeli forces could create new opportunities for reaching a ceasefire, releasing hostages and pursuing a political solution.
In the Middle East, Lebanon is at that moment the most important and pressing issue. Certainly, after the killing of Yahya Sinwar, a new perspective is open, and we have to use it in order to reach an ceasefire, to release the remaining hostages, and to look for a political perspective.
Moving on with US presidential elections, just 17 days ahead, early voting has started taking place in 26 states and more are going to begin soon. Out of those 26 states who initiated early voting on Saturday, Detroit, Michigan joined in. Nevada also began the same on Saturday, whereas Georgia, Pennsylvania and others have already started it. In Nevada, people queued up at polling stations in an enthusiastic way. Las Vegas voters also joined and they raised their issues and expected that their candidate should win.
Yeah, I voted for Donald Trump, and I think that he's the candidate that would, that is more likely to revive the economy, secure the border, make a real path to citizenship.
I just have to come out and vote for Kamala Harris, if that's okay to say. I just want peace, okay? I just want the values that she holds, okay, they're mine.
It's a big role. Nevada's kind of swing state. It goes back and forth. I think it's real important this year for me as a Republican. We need to swing it back to the red side.
Well, it's important to me to vote, and I always do early voting to make sure that I'm able to vote, because on voting day I have to work. So that's why early voting is important to me.
An interesting part of the early voting is that it gears up the localities. Even shopkeepers start to present their products in a way that enthuses voters for their respective candidates. A bakery owner started selling Trump and Harris cakes in Michigan. For 40 years, a bakery in Detroit suburbs has been predicting the winner of the presidential election, selling blue and red chocolate chip cookies for Democrats and Republican voters respectively, with names of the candidates written on the top. Candidates too are geared up in a big way and are giving razor edge to their attacks and rivals. In a rally at Detroit and Michigan, Kamala Harris hyped up voters who are going for early voting. She told them not to lose chance. She urged especially the undecided voters by saying that Trump has no issues. She told voters that former US president and her rival is hardly telling anything about how the economy will work or how he will generate employment. She accused Trump to be self-centric and talking about mythologies.
Talking about somebody needs to just watch his rallies if you're not really sure how to vote. Because he spends full time talking about himself and mythical characters. Hey, Detroit, are we ready? Because the power is with the people.
The Republican candidate Donald Trump too is not far behind in his attack on Kamala Harris. In his Pennsylvania rally, the former US president and Republican candidate invoked the memory of golf legend Arnold Palmer, guns and democracy. He said Kamala Harris is a threat to democracy.
Kamala Harris, who shouldn't be there, she's a threat to democracy. The way they took over, they call me a threat to democracy, right? She's a threat to democracy because she shouldn't even be the candidate. They should have picked a candidate fairly, not just given her because they want to be politically correct. And they went back to the members' bag.
Billionaire Elon Musk has promised to give away $1 million each day randomly until November's presidential election to someone who signs his online petition supporting the US Constitution. The petition states the First and Second Amendments guarantee freedom of speech and the right to bear arms. By signing below, I am pledging my support for the First and Second Amendments. Musk wasted no time awarding a $1 million check to an attendee of his event in Pennsylvania aimed at rallying supporters behind Republican Donald Trump. The winner was a man named John Dreher. The money is the latest example of Musk using his extraordinary wealth to influence tightly contested presidential race between Trump and his Democratic rival Kamala Harris.
I have a surprise for you, which is that we're going to be awarding $1 million to randomly to people who have signed the petition every day from now until the election.
As the raid to the White House heats up, DD India is on an election trail to the United States. Our correspondent Shubhendu Ghosh is in New York. He scans through some of the prominent newspapers and takes us through the latest developments in the electoral landscape of the United States.
We are next to the iconic Brooklyn Bridge in New York. It happens to be a sunny day. Let's scan through what's appearing in the prominent newspapers about the US elections. Let's begin with the Wall Street Journal first. It is talking about in a battleground state of Michigan, the state of Detroit is an issue in itself. Well, the context of it is that Donald Trump had likened the city in his speech, recent speech to a developing nation. And he had said that the whole country, America, would land up as Detroit if Kamala Harris is elected as president. Now, Kamala Harris's team has spun that around to her advantage, saying that it is like Donald Trump versus Detroit, that he had disrespected the people and the culture of Detroit. Donald Trump's team, of course, says that his words were taken out of context by Kamala Harris and that his remarks were directed at Detroit's lingering high crime and poverty rates. So that's interesting tussle centered around the state of Michigan. Next, let's turn to the New York Times. It's talking about the manner in which the North Carolinians are considering who will help them rebuild as early voting begins. Thursday was the day of early voting to begin. In North Carolina, the context of it is also the cyclone Helene and the devastation that it caused, scarred by the extraordinary amounts of rain that unleashed deadly flooding. The article says the road-crushing mudslides last month, the people of Western North Carolina are heading into the voting booths with the question in mind, which candidates will best help rebuild their communities and the impact of the worst natural disasters in the recent US history. Another article from the paper, it says Obama set to hit the trail alongside Harris next week. Former President Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, the former First Lady, will in fact make their first campaign appearance alongside Vice President Kamala Harris as she seeks to woo the voters in the last-ditch effort really in Georgia and Michigan. And finally, we're looking at the New York Post. There's an interesting editorial article, looks at the US elections from the context of foreign affairs. It says US election has the EU paralyzed but, and it sort of talks about the implications and all that is going on, especially in the context of the Ukraine conflict. It says that there is an odd sense of paralysis in Brussels, the capital of the European Union. Everyone is waiting for the US presidential elections to conclude and the confirmation hearing of new European Commission. So there is this sort of time gap with the new leadership to sort of take charge. It is going to be important for what's going on in Eastern Europe in particular as well. So those were some of the highlights of what has appeared in the newspapers here in New York talking about US elections. With camera person S. Jaishankar, Shubhendu Ghosh for DD India in New York.
In the latest on Russia-Ukraine conflict, Ukraine launched a series of drones targeting Moscow and western Russia on Sunday, after Russia launched an air attack on Kiev and Odessa. At least 4 firefighters have been wounded in the attack. Russian air defense systems destroyed 110 Ukrainian drones, and drone debris caused multiple short-lived fires in southwestern Russia. Let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. In US state of Georgia, at least 7 people were killed after part of a boat dock collapsed, sending at least 20 into the Atlantic waters off the coast. Search for the missing people is underway after the incident that happened during a celebration of Sapelo Island's tiny Gulagichi community of black slave descendants. In Cuba, electricity outage continued on the second consecutive day as nationwide power outage dragged on. At dawn, most neighborhoods in Havana were dark except for hotels and hospitals with emergency generators and very few private homes with kind of backup. Uruguay's center-right presidential candidate Andres Ojeda led his first rally in Montevideo. Ojeda is the new face for October 27 presidential election, positioning himself as a youthful alternative despite being the candidate for the traditional Colorado party. And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate and lay foundation stone of multiple airport projects in the city of Varanasi today. And thousands took part in 19th edition of Delhi Half Marathon at Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Prasar Bharati. And India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in Varanasi city of North Indian state of Uttar Pradesh on Sunday. PM Modi inaugurated the R.J. Sankara Eye Hospital, offering consultations and treatments for various eye conditions. During the visit to his constituency, PM will lay the foundation stone of multiple development projects worth more than $725 million. Other projects include airports, sports and tourism related initiatives. The projects that are part of the overall development of Varanasi include inauguration of the R.J. Sankara Eye Hospital that aims to offer comprehensive consultations and treatments for various eye conditions. Various airport projects include expansion of airport runway and construction of a new terminal building at Lal Bahadur Shastri International Airport, new civil enclave at Agra Airport, Darbhanga Airport and Bagdogra Airport. New terminal buildings for Rewa Airport, Mahamaya Airport, Ambikapur and Sarsawa Airport. The combined passenger handling capacity of these airports will increase to more than 2.3 crore passengers annually. Designs of these airports are influenced and derived from the common elements of heritage structures of the region, redevelopment of Varanasi Sports Complex under Khelo India scheme and Smart City Mission. Inauguration of 100-bed girls and boys hostels and a public pavilion at Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar Sports Stadium. Inauguration of tourism development works in Sarnath at Banasur Temple and Gurudham Temple. Earlier, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also inaugurated the R.J. Sankara Eye Hospital that aims to offer comprehensive consultations and treatments for various eye conditions. And India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in Varanasi city of North Indian state of Uttar Pradesh. On Sunday, PM Modi inaugurated the R.J. Sankara Eye Hospital, offering consultations and treatments for various eye conditions. It will help people in many ways. And during the visit to his constituency, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will lay the foundation stone of multiple development projects worth more than $725 million. And other projects include airports, sports and tourism related initiatives. Let us give you a brief of what's going to happen. Various airports projects include expansion of airport runway and construction of a new terminal building at the Lal Bahadur Shastri International Airports. These are the projects that are part of the overall development of Varanasi, which include new civil enclave at Agra Airport, Darbhanga Airport and Bagdogra Airport. Also, new terminal buildings for Rewa Airport, Ma Mahamaya Airport, Ambikapur and Sarsawa Airport. Well, the combined passenger handling capacity of these airports will increase to more than 2.3 crore passengers annually. These are the visuals on your screen. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi along with Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath. Earlier, Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the R.J. Sankara Eye Hospital that aims to offer comprehensive consultation treatments for various eye conditions. It will help people in various ways in relation to any disease related to the eye. And also various airports projects include expansion of airport runway and construction of new terminal building at Lal Bahadur Shastri International Airport. These are the projects that are part of the overall development of Varanasi. And time now for sport. New Zealand take 1-0 lead after securing an 8-wicket win for their first test victory in India since 1988, and the Black Caps chased down 107 on the final day. The solid partnership between Rachin Ravindra and Will Young propelled New Zealand to the win, chasing 107. New Zealand faced an early setback as they lost their skipper Tom Latham for duck. However, the partnership between Devon Conway and Will Young brought the visitors back into the game. New Zealand chased down target with ease as Rachin Ravindra provided the finishing touch. For India, Jasprit Bumrah scalped 2 wickets. The second test between both teams will start from 24th of October. All right, and DD India correspondent Narayan Singh joins us live for more. Hi, Narayan. I can understand that it's not a happening day for all the cricket fans in India. But my question to you, Narayan, is that did New Zealand win this test because India lost?
Siddharth, if you talk about this match, we saw that after bundling out to 46 in the first inning, India made a remarkable comeback, and they, in the second inning, scored 462. But things were in their control yesterday when the Rishabh Pant and the way Sarfaraz Khan batted and played a tremendous inning in the first test match in their second innings. But after that debacle, after the departure of the 2 batsmen on day 4 of the test match, India couldn't capitalize the gain they got, and they lost 7 wickets in the span of 54 runs. And it was we can say, the turning point of the match after taking the second new ball on day 4. And today also we were dependent on whether the weather condition will favor India or not. And when in life also, when we get depends on others, definitely the result doesn't come in your favor. But today we can say that 107 is an easy target. But the kind of threat Bumrah displayed was fantastic. Indeed. It was looking like that in every second delivery he will take a wicket. But all in all, the way Rachin Ravindra and the young Williams batted, fantastic.
Definitely, Nana. And if I talk about the scores, let me just tell you, 46, like you just mentioned, 46 they bundle out. And then in the second innings, 462. Quite good scores, and especially the magic which was displayed by Sarfaraz. It's unbelievable. And also Virat Kohli pitched in, everyone pitched in. But what happened in the first innings? Second innings, they played really well, but couldn't give much lead, because of a good bowling by New Zealand and also some playing conditions as well. How do you analyze the first and second innings by India, Narayan, separately?
Siddharth, if you take a look at this match, especially the India failed to read the condition by misreading the condition. Actually, they fell short of one pace bowler. And yesterday, also we saw the way throughout the test match, the way New Zealand bowler just dominated, especially the fast bowler. On day 1, they just wreaked havoc. and bundled out India for the 46. Actually, that on day one also there were enough juice in the pitch, and the way we know that the New Zealand bowlers are very tall and their release point is very high, and they got the momentum from the pitch. And definitely, and today also, clearly a one fast bowler India was lacking, and that we can say that misreading the condition came back to hurt India. But all in all, it's a part and parcel, and we know that India in the past, this
part
year
and
also,
parcel, definitely, Narayan. We have two encounters to go, definitely. Tell us, very quickly, tell us a little bit about Rohit Sharma's argument with the umpires.
We know, as you mentioned, that when you play a cricket at such a level, these always happen, and the part and parcel of the game, not the first time it has happened. So it's we can say that for his team, he has to do this thing. But we can say that this is not the end of the road. India still have many matches. 7 matches are left ahead of the WTC final. And in the past also, last year also, this year, in the start of this year also, India lost the first match against England, first test match against England in Hyderabad. After that, they bounced back and won the series 4-1. And we are hoping that definitely we can say that India will bounce back and they will be there in the finals of the WTC.
All right. As a correspondent, Narayan said that this is not the end of the road and part and parcel of the game. Not a happy day for all the cricket lovers for sure, but they have second test match on the card, and let's hope that India bounce back and comes out with flying colours. We leave it there. Thank you so much, Narayan. And thousands of people participated in the 19th edition of the Delhi Half Marathon, which kicked off from the Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium on Sunday. Delhi Half Marathon is a gold standard World Athletics label road race. Started in 2005, the event marked its 19th edition. Some of India's top women road racers, including Kavita Yadav, Preeti Lamba and Nirma Thakore, also competed in the race. Meanwhile, two-time Olympic gold medalist Joshua Chaptegi also led a star-studded international lineup. That's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Prasar Bharati from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.